On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Breaking the Silence by Heathen. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And we're now in a post-Thanksgiving haze.
Yeah.
Or at least I am.
Well, yeah, I am too.
As you know, had a lot of fun, ate a lot of food, enjoyed myself, and now today I'm just kind of like going,
man, it's too bad the weekend's not. Oh yeah, weekend is here.
We had the day off today,
right, and yesterday,
Well, yeah,
for Thanksgiving.
If you don't have Thanksgiving off, that's first of all terrible, and
yeah.
I feel bad for you.
Sorry,
maybe unless you don't celebrate and it doesn't bother you at all, and
you get like time and a half or something.
Then cool, get that bread. But
exactly.
Otherwise, it's nice to have the time off and do whatever it is you want to do. Maybe you don't want to spend time. I don't know.
And the reason we don't really post this on when you do. You post this on Wednesday.
Yes.
But the reason we didn't do that is because there was a lot of work to do, a lot of shit happened, a lot of stuff to put down.
We were both still there at like 5:15.
Yeah, we're both 5:15. We were the only people in the building.
Yes.
Everybody else had fucked off for the day, and it was just you and I just getting work done.
And we start recording at 7, and so it was like we got like an hour and 45 minutes to finish up what we're doing and then listen to the album. Mm-hmm. Let's just not do it.
Yeah, let's not do it tonight.
We were both desperately tired. And it didn't seem like a good prospect for Wednesday night. So here we are with a Friday night broadcast.
Friday!
Whoa! On Black Friday.
Oh, that's right. It is Black Friday.
It's too bad we're not talking about black metal.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I didn't even think about that.
That'd be super fitting if we were. But no, we'll talk about
this is thrash metal.
Yeah, this is thrash metal. We'll talk about Breaking the Silence by Heathen a bit later on. Classic Bay Area thrash metal band. First, I mean,
they're a Bay Area thrash metal band that smells like Gwyneth Paltrow's pussy.
You see, now you're referencing things that the people have not heard. A joke that I've made that the people have not heard.
That's kind of what makes it funny for me.
It's for you, not for anybody else. Sometimes if we go on a particularly good riff before we start the show, I will paste it onto the end of the podcast after the outro music. I will just like clip it and put it on the end.
Right.
But that kind of is dependent on it being like less than 2 minutes and like easily, I can easily isolate that and it won't sound particularly strange.
Sure.
I haven't done that in a while. Which I guess means we just haven't had anything particularly funny in our warm-ups, or at least anything with enough brevity to put on the end there. If you're listeing and you've never
made it through the whole podcast.
If you've never made it through the whole podcast, if you've ever like gotten to the end of an episode, hear the music and you're like, there's 4 minutes left of this. What's that about? I don't care. Maybe listen to some of them. I put them there because I think they're funny.
Right.
I don't know what you think.
But you think it's funny.
I think they're funny. I don't know. No. Have you done anything else other than the obvious?
Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Did you do anything today?
Today I binge watched Wednesday on Netflix.
Yeah, we were talking about that. The Tim Burton joint.
Yeah.
Has he done previous Addams Family?
Yeah, he did the first two, I believe.
Okay, that's right. I couldn't remember if he
at least the first
of
one.
Course he has.
Yeah.
It's, it'd be weird if he hadn't done that. I saw a thing recently that I thought was pretty funny. It was around Halloween time. I don't remember the director's name, which just proves the point of the article, which is the director of Nightmare Before Christmas is asking for just a little credit, please.
Yeah, please.
Because everybody thinks of that as a Tim Burton movie.
Sure.
He did not direct that film.
No, he didn't.
Tim Burton.
He's a producer.
Yeah, he was a producer. And in fact, while they were like making most of it, Tim Burton was busy with other stuff. He wasn't even like present and around when the movie was really being made.
Did he direct The Corpse Bride?
Yes, he did.
He did direct that.
Tim Burton, it's impossible to divorce that film from Tim Burton's visual style. And I think really Nightmare Before Christmas more than anything.
Christmas?
Yeah, that's a Critical Role thing.
Right.
But Nightmare Before Christmas, I can't not say it now.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, this is my. What was the thing I was? Oh, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah,
this is my new Matthew
McConaughey. Yes, because he's Hawaiian now. Yeah, exactly.
No, that movie more than any other, I think, is responsible for Tim Burton's visual style.
Right.
Because it became so ludicrously popular with like the merchandise. Mm-hmm. And I think Tim Burton was just like, oh, that's the thing that the people really love.
Merchandising.
And it's like that visual style there works really well because it is supposed to be macabre and spooky and scary.
Sure.
And it's stop motion and everything. It's charming. But translating that into like later live action movies just makes them look gross.
Kinda.
And not even like a horror movie sort of, oh, that's really gross looking and like a good kind of what you want in a really gross, nasty horror movie. Mm-hmm. No, it's just unpleasant to look at. His Alice in Wonderland movie might be the ugliest film ever made. Mm-hmm. It's cancer for your eyeballs.
He made his own wife hideous.
Like it's one of just the most disgusting things to look at. It's just the color palette and everything is just so bad to look at. Mm-hmm. I've never seen his this is probably a good thing that I've never seen his Willy Wonka movie. I've only ever seen clips from it. And it's like everything about this is bad. Everything about this was a bad idea from the start. Mm-hmm. Johnny Depp is Willy Wonka, bad idea. Having the Oompa Loompas do a whole like musical number that turns into like a rock song.
Because the original one was
idea.
Fine.
Like
you've seen the original.
Yes, I've seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's basically a perfect movie. At least from a
Charlie and the wait a minute.
Yeah, it's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I thought Willy Wonka was the original one and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was
the other way around.
Okay, yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, like the original one with Gene Wilder is essentially a perfect movie if just for Gene Wilder's performance and the nostalgia of it and the fact that it was made on a shoestring budget. Right. Its budget was tiny. And like the only weird thing about the movie is that it basically doesn't have a villain. It basically doesn't have a bad guy except for Grandpa Joe.
Grandpa Joe.
That's a stretch. Like if you go looking for a villain, he's about the closest thing you can find other than the guy who tempts Grandpa Joe into stealing the fizzy lifting drink. But even then, he's not really like a particularly, villainous force in the film. The movie is weird because things just happen and keep on happening.
Right.
Like there's no real conflict in the film other than, towards the end.
I feel like the children could also be the villains of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's why so many of them die.
Right.
We must blame the children. It's the children's fault.
Fuck that Veruca Salt bitch.
What happens to Veruca Salt?
Does she turn into a blueberry?
No, that's a different one, I think.
No, yeah.
That's Violet Beauregard.
Oh, right.
Because her name's Violet and she turns purple and turns into a blueberry.
Veruca wanted a pony, right?
Yeah, I don't remember what happens to Veruca Salt. Everybody remembers Augustus Gloop falling into the river, the diarrhea river of chocolate,
right?
Because that's what that chocolate river looks terrible. That chocolate river looks so bad.
Why does that chocolate river have corn pieces in it?
It looks really really bad. It's clearly just brown water.
We hope. We hope. Where did you guys get 10 million gallons of diarrhea?
Well, you see, right next to the studio is actually a sewage plant. Mm-hmm. We just kind of piped that on in here.
Plus, we all had some bad sishu.
Now, again, you're referencing a thing that people have no context for. I'm not going to try and explain that one.
There's no point.
There's no point. But yeah, it's been a very long time since I've seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but I have quite fond memories of it.
Mike TV ends up on TV, right? Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
That one was a little on the nose.
Yeah. I mean, all of them were supposed to be,
right.
pretty on the nose. It's based on a Roald doll, right? That's a Roald doll?
Is that Roald doll?
I'm pretty sure that's a Roald doll thing. The book is called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, right?
You know what? Right now, you could probably tell me anything.
Anything, and you believe it?
Yeah.
It is, yeah, the book is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
Mm-hmm.
and it is Roald Dahl. Oh no, I lost here. Okay, sorry. I had the Wikipedia page for Heathen open, and then I went too far back, and I lost it, but I got it back. Totally lost my train of thought. I'm trying to think of literally anything else that I've done recently. We played. I got to play at my own table.
Nice.
For Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, I was there,
and that was an interesting time. It's very bizarre for me.
It is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is the one with Johnny Depp.
Really, it's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
The movie, yeah, the first movie.
I feel like this is like a Mandela effect moment.
No, I remembered that. I did remember that, and then you said I was wrong. You said I was wrong, and I folded.
What I'm saying is, it's like because I was so sure I was right that I feel like this is like a Mandela effect moment. Yeah, it's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Why the fuck? I guess it's just. Because it's the book is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Right, and then they changed the name for the movie.
Which, I mean, I guess it makes sense because really the star of the show is Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Is Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. That's what you're watching for.
Right.
But we totally derailed there. But hey, you vindicated yourself, so.
Yeah, I feel
you're happy with that.
I thought, oh, you're having another senior moment. No,
you were.
I was right. Turns out,
Willy Wonka. Well, because the fucking
there's no fucking in that movie.
Yeah, there's no. The Tim Burton movie, I think, is just called. Is it?
That's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Is it? Now we're. This is bad audio. Just having to look up.
We're just looking at our phones.
Just looking and just having to look shit up. Like this. Yeah. This is not good audio. But I have to know.
Yeah. Or no, maybe it was Willie Scissorhands.
Yeah, the Tim Burton movie is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? It's weird to me that the bad one has the proper name of the source material.
Right.
I guess they were reaching for anything to make this movie more marketable and
hey, it's the original title. You know what else I watched?
What?
Today I watched the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. I forgot that was happening.
Right, and then in my head, I kept having to fight back the voice that was going, "Oh, this is dumb and schlocky." It's like, really, what the fuck? It's a Christmas special.
Yeah, it's a Christmas
with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
it has to be schlocky and dumb. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
What if I were James Gunn, who
he wrote it.
He wrote it. If I were James Gunn, what I would have done is had it be a nearly 1-for-1 recreation of the Star Wars holiday special. Instead of Chewbacca's family, it's like a whole family of Groots.
Right.
Just saying "I am Groot" at each other instead of the
for
Wookiee.
A good 5 minutes straight.
Instead of in the Star Wars holiday special where it's the Wookiee family just growling at each other with no subtitles. With no subtitles.
Right.
It's just there's like a solid half hour of content in the Star Wars holiday special that is just Wookiees growling at each other with no subtitles whatsoever.
And it's always sort of been a point of contention for me that His name is Chewbacca, and he comes from the planet of Kashyyyk.
Yes.
Who fucking named those things? Because it wasn't Wookiees.
George Lucas named those things.
Well, sure, okay, right. But I'm just saying, in
he
universe,
can't pronounce that.
Yeah, he couldn't pronounce any of them.
Well, I think it's a concession that has to be made because other sentient creatures also would not be able to pronounce the Wookiee word for it either. Like,
I think that would be awesome if it was. We need to make a stop at.
I think it's one of those things where it's just like even if you theoretically could get really, you could probably get really close. Like as in the Star Wars universe, someone could maybe try really hard to pronounce the Wookiee language correctly and do the growls right, but you're never going to get all the way there. And it's also probably going to do terrible damage to your vocal cords. So yeah, I think the Wookiees probably get it that when the humans don't bother trying to learn, to speak their language, because
they understand it.
Yeah, Han Solo understands it just fine. There's perfect communication going on there.
See, I would also love to see like a communication between Chewbacca and R2-D2 with no subtitles.
It's just
a long drawn out
conversation
talking about philosophy.
Well, and it's like, there are things that you can do with editing that, and body language of actors. You can make things very apparent and communicate a message with no dialogue whatsoever. But that's not the Star Wars holiday special.
No, that is not.
Where everyone was on insane amounts of cocaine, especially Carrie Fisher.
Especially Carrie Fisher. She was a champion. Every
single shot in the Star Wars holiday special of Carrie Fisher, it is clear she is on another fucking planet. She is on a completely different planet the entire time.
Here's the thing. I saw the thing when it was new.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was kindergarten.
Yeah, you would have been very young.
Yeah.
Because that came out
78.
in 78.
Yeah.
Because do you remember having thoughts about it when you were just a wee child?
No,
you don't remember any.
I was really drunk.
You were on a lot of cocaine.
I was on another planet.
You were on another planet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Star Wars, so she was getting into character. It's just such a bizarre, and there's a great Red Letter Media video where they talk about it. And while they're watching it, they pinpoint the exact moment where Harrison Ford stopped caring about acting.
He's I want to go back to carpentry.
The exact moment where Harrison Ford realized he was too good for this shit and he wanted to be doing something else. Which, speaking of Harrison Ford, have you seen the stills from the new Indiana Jones? They've revealed some pictures. The buzz, based on apparently leaks from the script, is that it involves time travel.
Does it really?
Which I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how I feel about the whole thing, because it's like, okay, another Indiana Jones movie. Harrison Ford is 80 years old.
You guys saw Crystal Skull, right?
Yeah, like there's all this stuff. On the other hand, it is being directed by James Mangold, who made Logan. He made, I'm pretty sure he did the first Creed movie, which I really like the first Creed movie. Like he's made some good goddamn movies.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not entirely on board with it, but I'm also, it hasn't lost me. I'm like, I'm gonna have to see it. Basically, I'm gonna have to see it. Apparently,
Ford v Ferrari.
Yeah, that was an. I like that. I could have swore that was a oh God, what's his
Copland?
What the hell is his?
Ford v Ferrari.
Bryce Dallas Howard's dad.
Ron Howard?
Ron Howard. Jesus Christ.
You remembered Bryce and Dallas and Howard, but not Ron.
She's hot.
That's true.
So I remember her name. I'm terribly shallow.
I've learned that over time.
Yeah. No, I'm not, I'm not categorically dismissing this new Indiana Jones film. I'm intrigued enough. I don't know how, because they also said like, oh, there's going to be digitally de-aged Indiana Jones because of the time travel bullshit.
Right.
Almost certainly. So it's I'm just wondering how that's all going to shake out, exactly how they're going to, like, what sort of role is Indy going to be playing in this film? Because again, Harrison Ford is 80 years old. Is he going to be more of a Henry Jones Sr. type character where he's, he is the main character of the movie, but he's not doing the action star things.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm curious how it's going to go.
I wish they would have recast or again cast Sean Connery in this movie.
This pile of bones.
Yeah. He's on a dolly.
Yeah. Sean Connery looks like he drank from the wrong cup these days.
He chose poorly.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm interested in how it's all going to shake out. Apparently Harrison Ford, in the run up to making this film, went on a bike trip throughout Mexico.
Really?
Where like an insanely long bike trip in Mexico.
Like pedal bike or motorbike?
Yeah, wow. Like mountain biking and shit. Because he's, apparently a health nut.
Really?
Yeah.
So I've also heard he smokes a lot of weed.
I mean, the two things aren't exclusive.
Right. Maybe they make a health weed.
Maybe Gwyneth Paltrow makes a health weed that smells like her pussy.
This running joke that we're doing here is from a product that's from a long time ago.
Yeah,
at this point,
people have forgotten about the candle thing.
Right.
Also, I think the verbiage on that was "this candle smells like my vagina." I don't think the word you used was pussy.
I don't think so.
She would have probably had a harder time marketing that, which is saying something because the original product says "this candle smells like my vagina." So
she sent it them all personally.
Yeah, I don't know. New Indiana Jones.
Probably
we'll
go see it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm obligated to. I feel like there are so many franchises now where when something new comes out, it's like, I guess I have to go see it. I have completely lost that with any new Marvel property. Right. I don't give a shit. I stopped caring. I completely stopped caring. I don't need to go see anything new. Since Endgame came out, every Marvel thing that I have seen or been exposed to has been entirely just environmental happenstance. It's not been something I've sought out, not because all of them are awful and I think that I'm taking some sort of stand. Right. It's just like I just kind of don't care. There's too much of it, and I'm you're
saturated.
Yeah, I'm saturated with it, and I feel like my exposure to Star Wars has gone down enough that I'm gonna start watching Andor. Yeah, primarily because I've heard that Andor is genuinely really, really good, and not in the Star Wars fans sort of like, oh, it's really good, you have to watch it, because they will say that about fucking everything that comes out. Even if it is 60% on Rotten Tomatoes or something, everyone will be like, it's really good. It's like, that seems like a pretty middling product to me. But everybody who I know won't shut the fuck up about Andor. And then I've seen videos from YouTubers that I respect a lot. And I respect their opinions on film quite a lot. And them saying, this is really good, everybody should watch it. And I'm like, okay.
Right. I mean, the history of one of the smallest countries in Europe is it's pretty fascinating. Yeah. It makes for good cinema.
See, and it's crazy that I see the joke that you're making. I'm just not laughing at it.
You were laughing at me.
Yes. For making the joke. Right. But it's interesting to me that this show is the show that someone decided to put so much effort into to make it like a genuine piece of art. When it's also based on one character who dies at the end of the media that introduces him. The first piece of media that character exists in, he dies at the end of. And you choose to make a television show. And also that movie came out 7 years ago. And it's like, when I heard they're making an Andor TV show, I was like, fucking what? And that was announced after this runaway success of The Mandalorian. Like, here's 15 new Star Wars shows we're going to make. And one of them is about Cassian Andor. And I'm like, fuck off. You're making a show about every side character now. But then it comes out and everyone's like, this is the best Star Wars thing that has come out since Disney bought the property. And every clip I see of it, I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, that actually does look really, really good. Like almost everything is filmed on location, which is something that they don't do in Star Wars TV shows because they all film on that digital soundstage with a giant wraparound LED screen. Like those look good, but nothing quite looks real. But everything I see from Andor just looks really real and gritty. And which is what people said about Rogue One when Rogue One came out. And Rogue One is I still really like Rogue One.
It's one of my favorite Star Wars movies.
Rogue One is a great movie, and Andor looks like a great TV show. So it seems to have completely defied my expectations for it. So I will have to begin watching it now. My expectations are pretty high now. So
you're gonna get in and. I'm going to start making this voice.
Oh, it's not quite that. And it's got Stellan Skarsgård in it.
Sure.
I'll watch fucking anything with Stellan Skarsgård in it.
He makes magic on the screen.
He does.
It's me. I'm making magic on the screen. All of my characters sound like this because this is just my voice.
But anyway, do we want to talk about Heathen?
Sure.
So Heathen is an American thrash metal band from the Bay Area.
Indeed.
One of the numerous Bay Area thrash metal bands. And it's so interesting because the term Big Four has so many connotations.
Right.
So many different uses. And it's interesting to me that thrash metal was so all encompassing in the metal community of the late 80s, mid to late 80s, that you can have not only just the Big Four of thrash metal, but then a smaller Big Four just of the Bay Area.
Right.
And you've got, other bands all from that area: Exodus, Testament, Forbidden, Death Angel, Violence, all kind of just being, the leaders of that scene of thrash metal. But out of like many of those other bands, Heathen, I can't say I'm particularly familiar with, even just on a name basis.
Sure.
Not that 4 years ago I was all that familiar with Testament or Exodus or anything like that.
Right, but you'd heard the names.
Yeah, at some point probably. I don't know if Heathen has really come up all that often. And I wonder why that is. They have an album that came out in 2020.
Yeah, which the two singles off of that were my favorite songs of the year.
Really?
And I need to go back and listen to that album again. But yeah, I kind of lukewarm to it. I think the problem is, we're going to use this word again, saturation. I think I listened to their singles they put out, like each of them like 100 times. So like, these are fun, really great thrash songs. Yeah. And then by the time I got to the album, it's like, full.
I think I did that. I think that's kind of what happened to me with the new Lorna Shore album.
You listen to those last three songs a lot.
Well, like I listened to the singles because they put out like 7 singles or some shit.
It's a long album.
Yeah. But I listened to the singles that they'd put out so many times. Especially the first 2 parts of the ending 3-parter,
right?
Because that was the month before. Every 2 weeks they put out, 4 weeks before they put out part 1, 2 weeks before they put out part 2, and then part 3 came with the album. But I listened to those nonstop, constantly, and then when the album came out, I was like, oh, the rest of the album isn't like the thing that I really like and have listened to over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
So therefore, it's a disappointment in your eyes, even if it was good,
even if it was better than I gave it credit for. I think I'm gonna have to stop listening to that and then come back to it in like a year,
right?
and see how I feel about it. Because just completely oversaturated. That didn't really happen with the Wonder Years, but it's also the Wonder Year. I mean,
sure. I mean,
they're on my
right.
sweatshirt.
Exactly. I mean, their name is.
Yeah. No, Dan Campbell.
He's actually
the
on.
The rest of the band, they're all sitting on my chest like I think I might actually be having a sleep paralysis episode right now. But it's all one really elaborate dream. That's again another reference to
something we talked about earlier
before we were recording. What's your experience with Heathen?
Okay, here's my experience is that on 60 Minutes back in the...
Wow, 60 Minutes?
Yeah.
That's not what I was expecting you to open up with.
Yeah, okay. They did an expose on this very young Russian immigrant came to the United States with his parents. And he really likes metal and really loves to play the guitar. He was like, 15, 16 years old at the time. And it was... what the hell is his name? Why does my brain do this?
I'm going to guess that it is Kragan Loom.
No.
It
is not.
Is it? Is he still in the band?
Yes. Lee Altus.
Okay. I didn't see anything in the current members of the band that stuck out to me as being particularly Russian sounding.
Right. Lee Altus he was born in Russia and moved here, and they did. And I'm like, cool. I'd actually kind of like to hear that.
He's Ukrainian, actually.
Was he Ukrainian?
He's Ukrainian.
I thought he was Russian.
He was born in the
Soviet Union.
The Soviet Union,
right?
But he is Ukrainian.
It was a couple of years later. I'm reading. Well, we used to have when I was young. We used to have these things. They're made out of paper. They were called magazines.
What?
Yeah.
What's that? Is that the thing that you put in a gun that holds all the bullets?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
You just stick a Playboy in there and then fire off some rounds, if you know what I mean.
Oh, is that?
Oh, God, I got gross. I apologize.
You just got to pump it.
Yeah. Repeatedly.
Yeah. And yep.
Right. So anyway, and there was we get it again, an expose of this album right here because it was produced by Ronnie Montrose. I don't know if you know who that.
I don't. It sounds vaguely familiar.
There was a band called Montrose in the late 60s, early 70s, actually, and he was like a great guitar player.
Okay.
He was excellent, but he hired this young kid to be the singer, nobody from nowhere called Sammy Hagar.
No.
Yeah, and yeah. And then Ronnie went on to produce this, and he talked in the article about how this is more than just guys playing music fast. Yeah. This is really good meat and potatoes rock and roll. This is awesome. You should really listen to this. And I'm like, I'm fucking sold. And
I'll do it.
And I was living in the Philippines at the time.
Yes.
And my grandmother was coming for a visit from Oklahoma, or she was still
where the wind goes
sweeping down the plane. Exactly. She got in her Surrey with a fringe on top and came to the Philippines. She said, "Owen, is there anything you'd like me to bring?" And I said, "Yes, I want you to bring me," because there's no, big name music stores in Angeles City, the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this band. I really want to listen to them. They're called Heathen. She said, "Are they heathens?" I said, "No, I think they fight the heathens, Greta." And so she bought this cassette and put it in her luggage and flew it all the way to our house in the Philippines.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Wow, this is great." She said, "Now, Owen, I just took your word on it, but then I read the song titles. I think you're lying to me."
I think you maybe pulled a fast one on me there, bud.
But I got to keep it.
You got to keep it anyway. Well, that's good.
It was great. And I listened to it in my tiny headphones.
Tiny little 80s headphones.
Yeah. Little pieces of foam.
Like Jeff's headphones.
Yeah, only tiny.
Even smaller.
Walkman sized. Yeah.
Did they go in your ears? No, they weren't that small. Okay.
No. They covered some of the outside of your ear.
I see.
And they were easily breakable.
Of course they were. Only the most breakable of products.
Right.
For that, Yep. My brain stopped working there for a moment.
So yeah, that was Heathen, and eventually they broke it. They did like this album and then like two more albums.
Their discography is not particularly deep. Yeah,
there's a big hole in the middle of it.
Only 4. Breaking the Silence in 87, Victims of Deception in 91, then a big break, Evolution of Chaos in 2009, then another big break, Empire of the Blind in 2020, and a pretty large list of former band members as well. Of course, like Lee Altus, of course, is still in there, but you've got a ton of former members of the band. Some of which seem to have their own Wikipedia pages, but they're not names I recognize.
Lee Altus also plays for another San Francisco band.
That band is Angel Witch Dicrypts Exodus. There we go. There it is. As I was looking at the formerly of section instead of just the member of part, where Exodus is listed. So yeah, did you continue? Like, did you listen to like their next album after this? Before their big hiatus.
I didn't because I mean that time of my life when I was really into like thrash metal, there was a lot of turmoil. I mean, I was living off base. I got another little brother, and then mom got pregnant again with a little sister who they said they did amniocentesis, said that she was going to be. She's going to have bad brain problems. She was going to be underdevelopmentally. And I've given her shit about it every day for the last 32 years. So
she's a talented musician.
Despite being, mentally deficient. No, she's not. She's not at all.
I mean, just imagine we won't say it here, but imagine throughout the 80s and 90s, the word a typical older brother might use.
Yeah, that was the word because it was fine at the time. It's not now, but
I mean, hey, teenagers and older brothers. That was something that got talked about. Not particularly that word, but how like names that came up yesterday, where we were commiserating about about our last name and how you just take the R out of that, and it becomes boner.
Yeah, right.
And it's just like people bringing that up on occasion today, where it's like, did you know that if you did that, it sounds like boner? And it's like, yes, I am 26 years old. I am aware of that. I was in high school with other kids.
That has come up.
You think they didn't realize that and tell me a lot? It happened in fucking college. Like, it's like, yes, that has come up before.
I'm pretty sure I've called you that on the air. On radio, terrestrial radio. God. Yeah. Tune in tomorrow morning for Kyle Boner.
Kyle is the one that always confuses me. If people like look down at a sheet, like if going to like the clinic or something, and they're just like, is there a Kaylee here?
Sure.
They don't know me.
Right.
They don't look at me.
You don't know me.
They don't see me and think, oh, that person's name probably isn't Kaylee.
Right.
But when people look at me, they look down at like my ID or something, and they look back up and they say, Kyle. It's like, what the fuck do you think is going on with that A?
Well, it's like,
what do you think is happening? That's my driver's license. Do you think they misspelled my name on my fucking driver's license?
No, they just mispronounced it on your driver's license.
They forgot to put the umlaut over the A.
Exactly. See,
that makes it Kyle.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that makes it a silent A.
Think about the water vessel you take out every summer.
Kayak, I suppose.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah.
And all like the LE thing, like the people call me Kaylee or whatever. It's like, I get it. But also on the other hand, my response to it, if it turns into a short conversation, is just like, it's like table or fable or any
or whale.
Yeah. Where it's like LE at the end of the word usually makes an ul sound. There would be like an accent mark over the E if it was something different.
Right.
Kaylee. Or something. But no.
I that might be a new thing now. You're going to be
call me that? See, now it sounds like the interview I've seen with Kyle MacLachlan, where he explains the story behind David Lynch calling him Kale. David Lynch calls Kyle MacLachlan Kale because the director of photography for Dune couldn't pronounce Kyle.
Who's the DP for Dune?
I can't remember
a French guy, right?
Yeah, he was like a French guy, and couldn't pronounce Kyle, so he was Kale. And so David Lynch picked up on that and has called Kyle MacLachlan that for a very long time
for the
at
last
this point.
40 some odd years.
Yes. Does this album slap?
Yeah.
Breaking the Silence by
it
Heathen,
does.
which is the reason we're here talking to each other. Yeah, it slaps for sure. Not a lot of scores that I was able to find online.
Well, it hasn't been out very long.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those albums where it's like I feel like the band is in an unsweet spot when it comes to finding material written about their work, where like they're popular, they're known, but they're not well known enough for people to have like gone back in the age of the internet to talk about them specifically, or at least material that they have released before the age of the internet really came about, and people were writing reviews for thrash metal albums on the internet. So not a lot of reviews. Came out to 80.3. Is about what it came out to out of 3 reviews I was able to find and put together. What's your favorite song on the album?
Here the sad thing for me is the song that stands out of my head is the cover song that's on here.
Which one's that?
Set Me Free.
I wasn't paying super close attention, so I'm not sure.
It's a song by the band Sweet. Okay. I'm sure you've heard of Sweet. I mean,
yes, I've heard of Sweet.
As a classic rock program director.
I think we have like one song by Sweet, though.
Yeah.
So
Love Is Like Oxygen, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the only one that we have.
Yeah, but that one, I like the Goblin's Blade. I like...
Which sounds like it should be a Necrogoblicon song. I'm surprised they haven't done a cover of that song, honestly. Somebody needs to get into contact with Necrogoblicon and be like, why haven't you covered The Goblin's Blade by Heathen?
Yeah.
Seems like a pretty obvious choice there, fellas. So what is your favorite, though?
I think I'm going to go with probably Goblin's Blade.
Okay.
Because but I also love the song Save the Skull. Which is...
Pick one.
Goblin's Blade.
Goblin's Blade.
A lot of great riffs.
Predictably, I picked World's End.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
Like of course I would. It's got the most dynamics. There's the word.
There's the D word.
There's the D word. It's got the D.
Yeah. We're the Bronze Metalist Podcast, giving you the D.
Giving you the D. Yeah, it's got the D in there. And it's just I don't know. I like long songs that start with acoustic guitar and then pick up into something kind of epic and melancholy, and I'm a sucker for that shit.
There's the word goblin again. The goblin in your brain. What's his name again? Marcus.
Which is a really ungoblin-y name.
Right,
Really should have his name should be like Crabthor or something. I'm Crabthor, the goblin.
Marcus.
His name is just Marcus. He's just like a pretty chill kind of, downbeat sort of guy, that Marcus. He just happens to be a goblin.
It's weird that he has the same first name as Yoda.
No, that's Minch.
Well, that's Minch. That's right. Yeah,
Minch.
It's not Mark.
Yeah, I found out recently that
Mark Yoda
in the early version of the script for Empire Strikes Back, Yoda was his last name, and his first name was Minch, M-I-N-C-H, Minch Yoda.
Yeah, he's always helping out.
He's a real Minch.
Yeah.
He's a real Minch, that Yoda. Yeah, very predictably, my favorite song is World's End. Who would have thought that the last song, that's the longest one with the sad acoustic guitar at the beginning, who would have thought I would like that one? What medal are you bestowing upon this, like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
I have to give it a high silver.
I'm giving it a silver too, but I feel like I have to qualify with that. qualify that with the fact that I only listened to it once.
Right.
And it was this afternoon, and I've just been feeling weird all afternoon. Sure. My brain's been all scrambled for probably just from too much caffeine. So I ought to give this a re-listen.
You should.
At a point when I'm feeling a bit more centered, and see how I feel about it then.
All right.
Because I was just not in a space to be paying super close attention to the music, and just kind of lost a lot of the detail.
So you weren't like Pat Boone in a metal mood.
I was not, apparently.
You've listened to that, by the way, haven't you?
I don't think so.
In a metal mood?
I don't think I have.
Oh my word.
So next week, I was just kind of desperately looking around and looking through like Spotify playlists, trying to come up with ideas for something to listen to. And I haven't listened to it yet, so I have no idea if it's any good or not.
Okay.
But there is a grindcore band from Singapore called Wormrot.
Okay.
And I listened to an album of theirs that came out, I think, in 2016, and I may have talked about this with Jaron, who did the first 20 episodes of this podcast with me. Right. I may have talked about that album that came out. I actually don't remember the name of that previous album. They have a new album called Hiss, which I have not listened to just yet. But I really liked that previous album. It's one of the albums that kind of like got me into grindcore for a little bit. I sort of like fell off, trying to find like new bands to listen to. I actually haven't even really listened to like Pig Destroyer in a while. We brought it up the other day, and that kind of got me thinking like, oh, I should listen to like Prowler in the Yard again. It doesn't take very long.
No,
but Wormrot Hiss is hopefully going to be pretty good. It's going to be fast. It's 32 minutes long.
Okay.
It's fast. Songs are not particularly long, and it's probably going to be pretty goddamn brutal. So, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And then, because I had to check the calendar, because then after that it's December.
Oh, Death Metal December.
Next Wednesday is the end of November, which is why I didn't just pick a death metal album.
Okay.
After that, it'll be Death Metal December. We're all ready to the most wonderful time of the year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Death Metal
December. And that's why it's the most wonderful time of the year. There's no other reasons.
And it finishes off with Chuckmas.
Yep, good old Chuckmas.
Do we know what we're doing for Chuckmas?
I mean, our list of options is growing thin.
Because
we'll have to discuss
that. He's been dead for 20 years.
Yeah, perhaps we will discuss that next week.
All right.
But in any case, until you listen to our next episode, why don't you go ahead and follow us on our social media, on Facebook and on Twitter, Bronze Medalist Podcast. It's a knee slapping
It's
good
a knee slap.
time.
Yeah, you have to make sure you tell people that the spankings have not begun.
It's a knee slapping good time. Yeah. That's what they tell me. Go ahead and subscribe to our feed on Libsyn's podcast source or your Apple Podcast app or whatever it is you're using to listen to us. I can't stop slapping my knee. It's time for us to end the podcast.
I get yelled at about that too, by the way.
For slapping your knee?
Well, no, because I'll do this while I'm talking on the air.
Yeah.
Jay's like, stop
clapping. Stop clapping.
Yeah.
Are you syncing up your audio and your video to the claps?
Yeah.
You don't have a clapper?
No.
Or a slate?
Or a slate.
As it's sometimes, the real industry professionals will call it a slate.
Exactly.
But thanks very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ. Congratulations. Then the microphone fell.
All of that for... I didn't look up too much about the band. That's what you're here for. You get to
shit.
What are you looking for?
No, I was just wondering, are those smokes over there? No, those are cards.
Yeah. No, it's a very thin pack of cigarettes. Not a lot in there. There's only they couldn't double. They're staggered.
Right.
They had to be staggered in
There's
there.
just one row. It's a supply chain thing.
Yeah, they couldn't double stack them. It was too narrow. They could have just made the cigarettes thinner, but instead
They've done that in the past.
Yeah, it's the
Those vagina slimes or whatever they are.
vagina slime. What if Gwyneth Paltrow started making cigarettes and it was this cigarette tastes like my pussy? You know what? If Gwyneth Paltrow put out a line of health cigarettes on fucking Goop, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I would be deeply unsurprised.
Goop branded health cigarettes at home.
Health cigarettes.
Like Gwyneth pussy.
Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina. Like, God damn it.
But and here's the problem. They wouldn't be legal in California.
Where
you can't have flavored cigarettes.
I assume the vast majority of her products are sold.
Right.
That's the funniest thing I've said in days.